Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. Got another fucking press play for you. We're just gonna jump into the shit here. You know, I had some other stories on here, but I am running short on time, so we're just gonna get right to the fucking goods. We are going to do our press play on the first episode of the new Disney Plus series, The Mandalorian, which very interesting to say the very least. So let's do a quick synopsis of the Mandalorian, of the travels of a lone gunfighter in the outer reaches of the galaxy, far from the authority of the new Republic. And this is, of course, created by Jon Favreau. And yeah. What do you? I'm going to give you this like other little secondary synopsis here, which is going to paint a bit more of a picture too. So after the stories of Django and Boba Fett, who I think a lot of people think the Mandalorian is Boba Fett, but he is a different bounty hunter altogether. Another warrior emerges in the Star Wars universe. The Mandalorian is set after the fall of the Empire and before the emergence of the First Order. So that is, it's set between two spaces in time in the Star Wars universe. So again, after the fall of the Empire, but before the First Order. You know what? And before we get too far into it, spoiler alert, because we're clearly going to talk about some spoilers here. But continue. I'm going to say that in connection with something else. Okay. So we follow the trails of, again, the lone gunfighter in the outer reaches of the galaxy, far away from the authority of the New Republic. So again, I just thought it was important to make that distinction, that this is a space and time in between which the Empire has fallen, but the First Order is not yet risen. And First Order is where we are in like the film space, right? So like the Skywalker movie that's about to come out, that focuses, you know, a lot on, you know, the First Order, right? So this is before that. Speaking strictly just about the actual plot, I love the setup for it in terms of like the setting for the scene. I didn't love the first episode. Now, the reason why I didn't love the first episode was because they made no effort really to explain anything except for these like little burst of like, hey, this is a time between, you know, the Empire and the First Order, and that's pretty much it. Like, you don't really get a flavor for really anything else. Now, obviously, it's a series, so we're gonna get multiple episodes and explaining certain things and yada yada. But there was just, it was light on like content. It was, you know, great action sequences. It looked dope, but it was short to me. It was a little light in terms of understanding where we're at, why we care about this character, who this character is. Like, obviously you know, bounty hunter, but I don't know, I didn't really feel any like true connection to our main protagonist here. I like the first episode and we talked about this before we started recording, in that there is a bit of like confusion there still, right? Like, they're not what I feel like the director for this first episode was trying to do is, I don't want you to fall in love with this character just yet. I don't want you to fall in love with the story just yet. I want you to have questions, right? I want you to, you know, it's kind of like when you first meet somebody, right? You're curious. Okay, this person's got some charm. This person's interesting, right? Know a little bit about this person. There's more to discover as I continue to watch. The first episode, the action sequences, the you know, the way the visual effects, right? Everything was there. Like, this is absolutely Star Wars. There's still some mystery there, which I think for a series is what makes the most sense. Yeah. I just would have wanted to be a little more revealing of, like, not necessarily like to make us fall in love with the character, but to just give us more of an understanding about the character. You know, like, there's a lot of mystery there in terms of like, oh man, this guy's really mysterious, right? Yeah. But Pedro Pascal, who plays the Mandalorian, excellent job.
I thought excellent portrayal, even with the fucking mask on, you know, just very, very good portrayal. But again, story wise, I would have just wanted a little more. But while we're even on that subject, let's talk about our characters. And the casting by credit on this the series is Sarah Finn. So why is she only credited for one episode? That's really weird. Or maybe I guess because there's only one episode out right now. I don't know. Anyways, so what characters did we like? Characters didn't we like? Did we like the portrayals? Yada yada.
I mean, I'm going to be honest here. The only character that I'm familiar with enough to give a like or a dislike so far is Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian. And even though, you know, and I knew he was playing the character before I started watching the show, but the great thing about it is even with the helmet on, right, you're still able to develop interest in this character. He's able to, his acting ability, he's able to like show personality behind like the mask, and you're really interested, like who's behind the mask, who's behind the mask, who's behind the mask. And even though you don't really see his face, you still develop a liking for the character. So I think I just like him as an actor. A lot of the things that I've seen him in as of late, I really like him in. I think he was in the well, I mean, we know him from Game of Thrones.
Oberyn Martell. Did you see his stick work? That's why I was like, oh shit, that's my dude Oberyn. He's killing it with the stick work.
He was also in Triple Frontier, a movie that we mentioned earlier. He was in If Beale Street Can Talk, The Equalizer 2. I also think he was in wasn't he in No Country for Old Men?
No, that was Javier Bardem.
No, I thought he was the other bounty hunter in that movie.
The other bounty hunter. No, I remember there's Woody Harrelson's character.
I could be wrong. I could very well be wrong.
I mean, you could be right. I can't remember.
But he's been in a lot of projects that I really like him in. Great actor, and again, I think what he does well here is he's able to show like the charm and kind of like the personality of the Mandalorian, despite the helmet.
I think, you know, I really thoroughly enjoyed his portrayal. I don't think you really get too much of anybody else in the series. Although let me see if I can find who I'm looking for here. You do get what's his name? Fucking Creed. Carl Weathers. I don't know if I necessarily cared for Carl Weathers in this series. Just something about how, you know, I don't know. It just seemed like it was like a reach. You know what I mean?
The man needs work. They gave him a job. I'm not mad at it.
No, I'm not mad at him being employed. What I'm saying is
he didn't disappoint, but he wasn't like
nothing really.
Like, oh my god,
nothing really jumped off the map to me there. And so also like I didn't. I don't think we got really too much. Really, the only other person, or not even a person, but the only other thing that we sort of got a really sort of good look at was this droid that was with the Mandalorian. In the first episode. I thought the droid was great.
The droid was dope as fuck.
It was dope. It's a really great idea, really sleek. I thought it was interesting interactions between them, you know. So character wise, I don't think we really get too much of really literally anybody else. Okay, let's move on to the cinematography. What do we think about how this series looked?
I mean, again, it's there's no departure here from our expectations of Star Wars, right? Visually, like in terms of like the characters, the costume design, the makeup, how the movie is shot with like kind of like that reddish, or depending on what planet they're on, right? Like the gradient, the colors that they're using. I think it's done tastefully. It's what is the phrase here? It's on character, right? It's what our expectations are for a Star Wars film. So I think tasteful, but tasteful and serviceable is the way I'd put it. I've not seen, and again, this is only the first episode, I've not seen them push the boundaries in any way in terms of like how this is filmed or what the cinematography, camera angles, lighting. I haven't seen any like boundary pushing, but again, it's first episode. We don't know what's to come. Yeah.
And I believe Barry Adenine or something like that was the cinematographer for the first episode. I thought it looked really clean. I think there's some of the CGI didn't necessarily, I think it was very noticeable, like with some of like the ships and things like that, which is interesting, right? Like Disney's clearly putting mad money into this shit.
Yeah.
And it's a series, so it's like some of it you're like, yeah, like this shit looks so clean, especially for like a TV series.
Yeah, and we know the budgets are not as big as like a film.
Not for the film, but it's definitely bigger than I think a lot of other shows out there. Like Angel definitely wasn't getting this budget. But some of that left me for wanting a little bit. I don't think they didn't really try anything too crazy as far as stylistically. I thought it was all pretty sort of run of the mill. So yeah, I can't, I do like the colors that they use. I think they use a lot of different colors in it, very Star Wars-esque colors, especially just like you said, depending on what planet they're on, those type of things. But yeah, I thought some of the CGI of like the ships and things like that, some of that was like, like that looks not the best.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah,
especially when they strip down his ship, right? And you're seeing this his ship from a distance. It looks very much CGI.
Yeah. Like it's very noticeable, and I think that's always sort of the thing. Okay, let's jump into music or any sort of anything we want from the soundtrack or the soundtrack.
Yeah. So, again, I think this is where when I'm watching a Star Wars movie, it's not necessarily music that I'm looking for. It's more
come on, man. Of course it is the music.
Well, I mean, you get they have the big grand orchestra, right? Yeah. The trumpets and the horns and like those things. When you're watching a Star Wars movie, you're so used to them that like it's hard to notice them. And when I say that this show so far is not a far departure from what my expectations are of a Star Wars movie, is like you get the grand orchestra, the horns and the drums, right?
Yeah.
But it never like eclipses the things that are more important to a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
The setting, the characters, and the costumes.
Yeah.
So is there any particular thing that stood out? Not particularly. I did think sound in this, in the first episode was fantastic, particularly the shootout scene with the droid, like really being able to hear like the sounds of those laser guns shooting and ricocheting and bouncing. Yeah, like that stuff really does shine through more so than like the music that's playing in the background.
Yeah.
But as far as the score goes, I would be lying to you if I said like, oh, I love this particular thing.
I thought the score was fantastic, especially like the main sort of theme, which I believe was in the trailer, unless I'm mistaken. I thought it sets the mood of this kind of like off kilter Star Wars story, right? It's not just like the run of the mill. Okay, this is just going to follow sort of the beats of any of the movies that you've watched. This is going to be something more darker, more mysterious, and I think they set the tempo from that first scene when he enters the cantina or whatever.
Cantina.
Isn't that what it's called? Isn't that what they always called it in the games? Cantina.
Probably, yeah.
I know my Star Wars shit a little bit.
Is this in Mexico?
I mean, essentially. Yeah.
Well, he is Pedro Pascal. Yeah, I guess so.
There's something there. Yeah,
an outer space Mexican cantina.
Yeah. So I love that main sort of score. I thought it is a very unique way to approach it. A very sort of darker way to sort of approach it, which is a little different than I think again what you would get with the typical Star Wars affair. I think I'm still looking, to see what else. I watched part of the. I don't know if you I think you told me you hadn't had a chance to catch it yet, but I watched a bit of the second episode. That one was okay. we're turning in the right direction. But yeah, I wasn't able to pay attention as much as I wanted to. So maybe I'll go back and try to watch it a little more fully from the start.
Yeah, the score is something I'm going to pay more attention to as I continue to watch these episodes.
Yeah.
But in terms of visually and from a character standpoint, has The Mandalorian delivered like on what my expectations are? Yes. Has it over delivered? It's way too soon to even have that conversation. But you're getting Star Wars here. This is not a takedown from the films. This is most definitely still the Star Wars that you would expect.
Yeah. No, absolutely. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was our press play on The Mandalorian.
Press play.
Whoa, that was loud,
it's coming out of nowhere,
unexpected. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Yeah.
It's Sunday.
It's fine.
There's football on right now.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I'm sure. Yeah, it sounds like you're excited. But yeah. That was our press play on The Mandalorian. Talk to us about it. How did you feel about The Mandalorian? How did you feel about Disney Plus overall? Like, what do you think about the interface? What do you think of something like 10 million? They wish, right? 10 billion people will fucking subscribe.
10 million subscribers within the first 24 hours.
Yeah.
There's only one thing I don't like so far about the interface. I think what Netflix does, which I really love, is allowing you to skip the intro.
Yeah. But there really wasn't an intro for The Mandalorian. It's just like the title card and then that's it.
Well, I mean, episode 1, they just get straight to it. Episode 2 is where they normally roll in the
Oh yeah, so I watched episode. It's just the title card.
Oh really?
Yeah, it wasn't. Okay. But you're right in that, and I don't know if they're just not going to have intros or
same thing for Apple TV too. Is like one of the shows that I watch, which we definitely have to talk about, the morning show with Jennifer Aniston and Steve Carell and Reese Witherspoon. You got to just fast forward through the long as fuck intro. So
no,
I hope
I already don't like it.
I hope they incorporate a skip intro.
Yikes!
Feature.
That sounds awful. All right. So yes, just talk to us. Let us know how you feel about all that shiznit. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another episode of the Fake Podcast.